These are the questions that so many buyers and sellers are often thinking about, but either don't ask or are afraid to ask. Let's get into it. What's the difference between cosmetic issues and structural issues, and which is of greater concern? Well, I'm going to tell you, they're both super important. Obviously, as a seller, you want to make sure that you don't have any structural issues or that they're disclosed, but it's the cosmetic items that make the emotional connection as a seller to a buyer. Now, as a buyer, you really need to focus on the structure, the systems, because the cosmetic stuff is easy to change. And don't get blinded by the surface level niceness. Dig deeper. Let's talk about corner lot homes. Are they more or less desirable? Well, it depends. It used to be people were like, oh, corner lot is the most desirable. You have the most frontage. Well, that also means more grass to mow, more sidewalk to shovel. Today, I would say more people prefer an internal lot than a corner lot, unless they need that extra parking. You get parking, better access to the backyard. So it depends, but in general, interior lots are more appealing than corner lots for most people. When should a realtor advise a client to walk away from a deal, even if it means losing the sale? I think that you cross a point where the home is no longer serving the needs that the buyer has. And sometimes it's difficult because they can really like the property, but there's structural issues. But at the same time, the realtor has to be careful because maybe their reason for not moving forward is different than the buyer. So the realtor needs to understand really what it is that the buyer sees in the property, because for them, it still may be a smart buy and the right buy, even though the realtor wouldn't buy it themselves. So what can you learn about a property in the first few minutes of arriving that you may not see or know about from the listing? The biggest thing is the location, the neighborhood, and how well kept that property is. It's so true that buyers make their decision of whether they're going to buy that house or not within the first few minutes. And sellers often forget about it, but you're looking around as a buyer or as a buyer's agent, what do the neighbors' homes look like? What kind of sound and noise is there in the neighborhood? How well kept is the property? These details often get overlooked by sellers, but they make a huge impact when it comes to buyers' first impressions and purchasing that home. Can a home be marketed too well? And I will say 100% without a question. The marketing that you do sets an expectation for those buyers when they arrive at the property. And if that expectation exceeds the reality, they're going to be disappointed. Quite often I have conversations with sellers and they want every single detail of their property highlighted in that description or on that listing. And the problem with doing that is it leaves nothing for the buyers to discover when they arrive. And so if they arrive and they already know everything and there's nothing new to be excited about, they're going to be disappointed and walk away from that home without liking it. So there is a true balance between giving enough to get their attention, but also saving some of the best things for them to discover when they're there in person. The old real estate adage of he who speaks first loses does apply in some cases, but not in others, because it depends on who's more motivated. And if you have a motivated seller that's playing hardball against a buyer who's not as motivated, that seller could lose out on a sale and end up turning those buyers off. And also on the buying side, if you're slow playing your negotiations, there's a chance that another buyer will swoop in and steal the home of your dreams right out from under you. Okay, here's another one. Never buy the best house on the street or the nicest house or the most expensive house on the street. And it depends, because some people, they want the best house and the nicest house and the most expensive house because that's what they want. Those people should buy that house all day long. But if you came to me and said, I'm looking for an investment opportunity and I want to make money, then you're going to be better off buying the worst house on the best street and letting that best house pull the value up. But what you're also getting when you buy the worst house on the street is you're getting the worst house on the street. And that may not be the best experience. Sometimes it makes sense to buy the nicest and the best and the most expensive and get what you want. Today we dug into some of those details that you've probably been thinking about, but maybe afraid or not sure about how to ask the questions. If you have those questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk, have the conversation. If you're thinking about buying or selling, give me a call. Thanks again for watching.